Victory is a drug. And right now, an entire nation is overdosing on a win that never actually happened. If you've spent any time on sports forums or YouTube in the last 72 hours, you've seen the headlines. They are loud, they are colorful, and they are completely fabricated. Eala shocks world numb. 1 Aryna Sabalenka. The Filipina queen takes down the powerhouse in Rome. For a country that has waited decades for a tennis superstar. These words are like lightning. They create a fever pitch of national pride that is almost impossible to contain. But here on Tennis Dow, we don't deal in fever dreams. We deal in the cold, hard geometry of the WTA Tour. The truth is, Eala did not beat Aryna Sabalenka at the Italian Open. She never even stepped onto the court with her. On May 10, 2026, at the Foro Italico, Eala faced a different giant. She faced the world number 2, Elena Rybakina, and she lost 6-4, 6-3. So why is the internet lying to you? And more importantly, why is the fake news about a shocker win overshadowing the much more profound, much more human reality of what Eala actually did in Rome? To understand the Sabalenka mirage, we have to go back to March 16, 2026. That was the day the rankings updated, and Eala saw her name at world number 29. It was a seismic event in Southeast Asian sports. No player from the Philippines had ever breathed that air. When you break into the top 30, the gravity around you changes. You are no longer just a promising junior from the Rafa Nadal Academy. You are a national asset. You are a symbol of a country's ability to compete at the highest level of global athletics. That is where the anxiety begins. The pressure of that number 29 ranking is so immense that the collective psyche of the fans and the clickbait machines that feed them couldn't handle a normal loss. When Eala fought for every inch of clay against Rybakina, only to fall short against the sheer power of the Kazakh champion, the reality was too bitter for the internet to swallow. So, they manufactured a miracle. They swapped the name Rybakina for Sabalenka. They turned a tactical defeat into a legendary triumph because, in their minds, Eala is no longer allowed to be human. She is no longer allowed to lose. But by inventing this fake victory, they are committing a crime against Eala's actual progress. If you look at the tape of that 6-4, 6-3 loss to Rybakina, the real match, you see a version of Eala that is far more impressive than a fluke win over a top seed. You see a 20-year-old whose defensive mechanics have reached a terrifying level of efficiency. You see a player who can absorb 1-2-0 mile/hour serves and redirect them with depth that forced the world number 2 to play extra balls in almost every rally. It was a performance of grit and evolution. But because it didn't end with a trophy, the narrative machines decided it wasn't enough. They needed a shocker. The truth is much quieter, and in many ways, much more heartbreaking. After the loss to Rybakina, while the fake news was already beginning to swirl, Eala sat in the quiet of the locker room. She looked at her prize money for reaching the third round, roughly $30,000. She didn't keep it. She didn't use it to upgrade her travel to Paris for the French Open. She didn't buy a victory watch. She quietly directed those funds to a grassroots foundation in the Philippines, not because she won a shocker match, but because she knew that even in defeat, her position as world number 29 gives her a power that transcends the scoreboard. She gave it away because she wanted her loss to mean something more than just a drop in her ranking points. The danger of a manufactured victory is that it creates an invisible ceiling for the next reality. When Eala arrives at Roland Garros this week, she won't just be playing against the clay or her opponent. She will be playing against the ghost of Sabalenka, a fictional version of herself that the internet has built, a version that never loses and strikes down giants without breaking a sweat. This is the dark side of her fame. When the expectations of a nation become so detached from the reality of the sport, the athlete becomes a prisoner of their own hype. At the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, where Eala has spent her formative years, the philosophy is built on one word: humility. Tony Nadal doesn't teach his students to chase shocker wins. He teaches them to respect the difficulty of the game. He teaches them that losing 6-4, 6-3 to the world number 2 is not a failure, it is data. It is a map of what needs to be improved. But the Sabalenka mirage deletes the data. It tells the fans that Eala is already at the summit, so when she eventually faces a real top 10 opponent and the match is a grueling, physical struggle, the fans feel cheated. They feel like something is wrong because they've been fed a diet of lies. Let's look at the actual data from Rome that the clickbait ignored. Eala's first serve percentage against Rybakina was 68%. Against a returner of Rybakina's caliber, that is an elite number. Her backhand down the line accuracy has improved by 12% since her record-breaking ranking in March. These are the real victories. This is the concrete evidence that she is stabilizing her place in the WTA top 30. But the internet doesn't care about first serve percentages. It cares about the shock. By giving away that money after a loss, Eala was performing an act of radical honesty. She was acknowledging that while she didn't get the win she wanted, she still possesses an abundance that most people in her home country can only dream of. Think about the context. $30,000 is not a small sum for a 20-year-old athlete with massive overhead costs, coaching, travel, physios, and the taxes of the WTA Tour. Donating that money is a sacrifice of her professional capital. But when that act is tied to a fake win over Sabalenka, the meaning gets twisted. On social media, people are saying, "Of course she gave it away. She just beat the world number one. She's rich." She gave it away when she was facing the anxiety of a Grand Slam just weeks away. She gave it away to a youth foundation in Manila because she knows that for the next Alex, Eala, the one currently playing on a cracked cement court with a hand-me-down racket, that $30,000 is the difference between a dream and a dead end. This is the true character of the woman at number 29. She doesn't need fake wins to be a hero. Her real losses are heroic enough because of how she handles them. The anxiety we should be feeling isn't about her tennis, it's about her environment. Can Alex Eala continue to develop at the Rafa Nadal Academy, with its quiet discipline and focus on the grind, while her home country is screaming for miracles that haven't happened yet? The disconnect is reaching a breaking point. And as we move toward the red clay of Paris, the weight of the Sabalenka mirage is only going to get heavier. As the gates of Roland Garros open, we need to ask ourselves what kind of fans we want to be for Alex Eala. Do we want to be the fans who chase the shocker headlines, who hallucinate victories over Sabalenka because we can't handle the slow, painful reality of professional growth? Or do we want to be the fans who see the truth of number 29? The truth of number 29 is that Alex Eala is a pioneer in uncharted territory. She is the first Filipino to ever enter a Grand Slam as a seeded tier threat in the modern era. That achievement doesn't need to be polished with lies. It is a diamond in its own right. When Eala instructed her team to wire that $30,000 to the kids in Manila, she wasn't just giving away money. She was giving away the prize of her own suffering. She was saying, "I didn't get the trophy in Rome, but I can still build a bridge for someone else." It tells you that she has the psychological foundation to handle the top 10 eventually. Because a player who can lose with that much dignity is a player who cannot be broken by a ranking. The Sabalenka shocker was a fabrication. But the Eala character is the real headline.